Hi, welcome back to my class. I cannot wait to show you some more wash techniques with brushos. So I went ahead and I stamped this card panel with the Tim Holtz flower garden stamp that I showed the demo with on how to place your stamps and stamp with archival ink. And so now I wanted to share with you. Once the ink is dried on the paper, I would say wait 5-10 minutes. So if you're stamping a bunch of card panels, by the time you're done with the first stamp, you're good to start painting and going. So I just say don't paint like as soon as you stamp. It's pretty set, but I like to make sure that it's completely dry. So anyways, these have been drying for a long time. I'm not worried about it. The other thing I like about stamping, I'll take one afternoon and I'll just stamp like 20 card panels, and then I'll have 20 card panels to just color and play with brushos on a weekend or on an afternoon when I can paint. So that's part of another fun workflow that I like to do. There's a couple of different ways to paint these. So let me show you how I start. I think I'm gonna go with just in my mind's eye, it's just like a kaleidoscope of colors, but not in a crazy, like you can't figure out where you want to put your eye. So with stamps like this, you kind of have to let the stamp do the work, I guess is a good way to put it. And I'm actually going to put this down with watercolor right here. Okay, and now I'm going to wet this whole thing, and the ink's not going to move because I'm using archival ink. And then I'm going this way, so it's just a nice wash. Okay, now I don't want to use a super bright red. I'm going to use the OST red, and I'm not putting it on every bit of the flower. Okay, and now I really like this yellow, so I'm going to go in with yellow. I'm going to add yellow to maybe more of the center part. Brushes are really fun because you can get a lot of cool effects just with a little bit of extra work. Now I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to be very strategic because I really like the texture in the background, and I'm probably not going to mess too much with that texture, but I put too much pigment there, so I'm going to wipe that away. I'm going to take that away. And I really like these yellow petals. Again, I'm letting the stamp do most of the work. Okay, so now that it's blended, I can just kind of take my dry brush. It's dry, there's not a whole lot of water on it. And I'm just gonna kind of mop up that water. And because I'm using this Princeton Neptune, it's a size 6 round brush, it holds a lot of water, which means I can suck up a lot of water. All right, so that one's done. I'm gonna do the same thing to the next flower. Ooh, I love how that turned into like this orangey, peachy color. And I'm not really being too close to the lines. Like I'm not trying to like stay in the lines because that's not how this technique works. I feel like there is way too much ink right there, so I'm going to just color that in. And then I'm just going to add to that background, clean my brush off, get clean water, dabbed it on my washcloth a little bit, and now I can take up some of that color. All right, so those two are done. That looks pretty cool. Now this one, I know there's brush on it. So I'm lightly coloring it in, letting it kind of sit on the paper for just a tiny bit, and then I'm gonna suck it up. Let the watercolor let the brushes do its magic is what I always say. And I don't really want, I would love for this to just be yellow right here. So I'm going to take some of this yellow from this flower and I'm going to add it over here. I just love how brusho can give you such amazing results just by using a little bit of like techniques. And look at how that turned out. Isn't that really cool? How that red and that yellow. I'll show it to you up close when I get it all done. But that is looking really cool. Okay. I feel like I need a whole lot of bright colors in my life. It's been gloomy in Iowa. That's where I am. And I think by January we were just ready for lots of bursts of color in spring. And in the summer, Iowa is so green, but not in the winter. It's just gray all the time. All right, I'm going to add some yellow here. And then I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to just swipe it, clean my brush, get clean water on. There. Now if I wanted to, because like this is pretty light, there's a bit of texture. I think what I will do, and this is just a fun way to to start learning how to really control brushos too. And I'm fussing a little bit more than I wanted to on this, but I wanted to show you kind of how you can layer it a little bit and really just let the brushos do their work. Now this, I'm going to let this just dry. I'm going to maybe tilt this down a little bit so I get a little bit of movement down here. And because I want it to be a little bit darker than my flower right there, I'll add. But there, I like that. I think that's going to look really cool when it's all said and done. And it's hard to, when you're in this stage, I feel like it's just the hot mess stage. It always has to be a hot mess before it looks better, but I promise you it's going to look awesome. Now, what I will do is I will add some of this gold right down here and here, just to give it some variety of, and then I think the color isn't going to spread too much, but I can set that, sprinkle it with water very carefully. You don't want to just spray a whole lot, but you can spray a little bit, and this is going to look really cool when it's done. It's already looking cool. Okay, so let that dry, and let's go to the next one. Let's do something that's maybe just a tad bit simple. That was really busy. Let's go with I'm looking for let's start with the green in the background. And I'm going to just very loosely go around my florals. So I'm trying to keep my florals pretty white. Now, I'm not, as you can tell, I did not stay in the lines, but the floral part is pretty wet. And you can get some really cool effects when you do this. Here's my moss green, which I am fabulously falling in love with. And I love this moss green for florals because look, it's giving you a bit of this purpley color. You can kind of see it, maybe. If I turn the light off, I bet you can see the purple. Like I said, I didn't pay attention to the lines too much. Let me turn off the light and see if you can see the purple a little bit better. There, you can kind of see that purple and the green. Isn't that pretty? Okay. Now I can go in, and because I think a pink would be a really pretty color, I'm gonna go ahead and do this. That the brilliant red is gonna be too much, but I think that if we were to use this red, it'll look really pretty. Now this red does not come in your set of 12 pack, but I promise you it is so worth buying if you have the extra $5 to spend on pigments, which I know this class could be very spendy if you get all this stuff for it. I think I'm going to try and keep the centers kind of clean. And if you get red down here, that's okay. You can wipe it off real easy. Like I'm definitely just playing around at this stage, which is fine. I'm going to take a lot of this pigment away. Sometimes that's more challenging than actually sprinkling the pigment on. And some people don't love brusho because you can't control it. And I totally 100% agree with that. Like right now, this red is kind of going all over, but that's okay because we're going to add more green once it's dried. And I wanted that atmospheric look right now to it. And I'm going to try and get this. Right now there's a lot of water right there, so I'm going to dab it up a little bit. Because I just want a sheen. I don't want it to be insane. Now I'm going to gently tap, tap. That's the art, is finding out how much to put on. And then just realizing that this is a wash. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect because it's a wash. Okay. Now, I want some of this green to go into the... I want it to be more of a wash. So this is where I can use my brush almost like an eraser. And now I'm splattering it because I don't want it to look like I just painted it all in, but I want it to look there. I really like that. And I'm going to just add a little bit of water down here to just let it flow. Okay. And I don't really love... Brusho is also staining, so if you can remember that, that's always hard because the red does stain. But this is why I'm not worried about the red going over, because I can really add some green right in there, and maybe right in there. And that is looking very artistic. When it dries, it's gonna look even better. Now what I could do is, we haven't used any pearl. Here's my pearl, sprinkle it, and I'm just gonna sprinkle it on the flower. Just to kind of differentiate. There, I really like that. And I'm gonna very gently spray. Spray, spray, there. And that's going to give it some more texture. It's going to just add to the whole floral. But there's another wash, and it's hard to see because of the glaze. Let me turn off the light so you can kind of see a little bit more of what I'm trying to do. maybe. Kind of see it better. Isn't that cool? That's gonna look really pretty. I like that. I really like these two colors together. This will make a really pretty spring floral card, I think, for a wedding or for a Mother's Day card. I can just see it. It's really cool. Okay. So let's try again with, I'm gonna try. Now, let's say you are to the point where none of this is working out the way you wanted to, and you just need something quick and fast. Let me show you my quick and fast brusho technique. And sometimes less is more. A lot of times less is more. We're gonna go with new gamboge and gold. So new gamboge and gold. And I am just kind of keeping it simple. Keep it simple, man. Put some gold splatters on it. That's looking cool. And then I can always just spray. And even then you get this beautiful texture, and some of this gold is maybe more than what I wanted right there. So I'm going to move it down here and feather that gold out a little bit over there. Now when I was sprinkling it on, I was honestly just intuitively thinking, okay, gold on the negative space, and then I with a little bit on the flower part, and then a lot of the pigment brusho in the flower. So the gold is just kind of a, oh, that's cool on the outside, on the negative space. And that was my thought, but I have some gold on my brush, so I'm tapping it back onto the paper so I really like that. That's gonna look really pretty. Okay, now I can add a little bit more, maybe to this petal, definitely to that petal, to the middle. I really leave that alone because I really like that. And now I'm just gonna spray a little bit more to activate it, activate the brusho. And then sometimes I can even go in and just be very, very gentle. And I really like that. That one's done. You can see how beautiful that color pigment. And again, just one color, and then the gold that's gonna dry metallic, and it's gonna look shiny. It's gonna give you that pearl sheen. And because and always use your brush or your paper towel or washcloth, whatever, rag, to get the drips off. So there's another one, and I think that's going to look beautiful. Now when you're done with this, if you wanted to take it a next step further, you could go in and paint around the space if you wanted. I don't think you have to. I think this looks very artistic and very well done. So I'm going to call that done. So here is what we did. We started with this one, and we got quite a big wash of colors and textures, and this part's drying kind of pink, this one's drying kind of orange, this one's just really light and general and really pretty to look at. And then we have this one, which is going to look like a really cool wedding card. And when it dries, we can go in and add some more of that texture in the background, and that might be what sets off this card even more. So let's come back to it once it's dried, and we'll see what else we can do with it. So we'll see you in a little bit once it's dried. Let's see what else we can add to it.